What is up? I'm Harbor with Extra Credit Design Club, and today we are going to talk about my 4 streams of income as a graphic designer, passive and active. I was always told in school that graphic design is not a great career to pick if you want to get rich, but it never really mattered to me. Because I loved graphic design, I was going to do it no matter what, but also, I just didn't believe it. But I did go to my undergrad in a small town. There were not a lot of graphic design jobs and no desirable graphic design jobs for me. And so I knew that if I really did want to make money as a graphic designer, I was going to have to do it in a different way. So as long as I can remember in my adult life, I have always been a big proponent of the side hustle. Whenever I've had a job, I've not been really satisfied either financially or creatively. I always wanted more of one of those things, and usually both of those things, so I always found myself doing more. This video is going to be broken up into 2 parts. Part 1, the A side, where I talk about my streams of passive income, and Part 2, the B side, where I talk about why you as a graphic designer might want to diversify your income and how you might go about doing so. I'll start with number 1, my most successful stream of income, and that is selling fonts and other digital products, but it's like 90% fonts. I started selling fonts in 2021. I was about to start my 2nd year of grad school. I had just got married. I was moving to New York, and the school I was attending, very rigorous. I wasn't going to have any time for a full-time job. So I was really concerned about how was I going to pay rent, how was I going to buy food. If I could do those 2 things, I would be cool. But I got a big problem. I have no time for even a part-time job. So I started designing fonts, and I thought, hey, I can design a whole bunch of fonts before the semester starts, and then once the semester starts, I'll put them all for sale and just cross my fingers and hope it works out. Luckily, it did work out. In 2021, the first year, I was selling digital design goods. I made around $30,000. In 2022, I made around $60,000 with this one stream of income. And here, 2023, it's a bit of a down year for everyone in the kind of digital design goods space, and it's just a down year for the economy in general, at least here in the US. It looks like I'll be making around $40,000. But the beautiful thing is that no matter how much I make, it is a totally passive stream of income. Most mornings, I wake up, I check my phone, and I see that while I was in dreamland, I made a couple bucks. And it's a beautiful thing because it frees me up, frees up my time so that I can, if it is a down year, focus on other ways to make money, open up a new stream of income. Or if it's a good year, I can, spend more time doing things that I love, that I'm passionate about, that maybe won't have a monetary yield, but I don't have the pressure of that. Number 2, all right, I'm going to keep it going on the passive income plane, and I'm going to talk about teaching online courses. I first started doing this in 2020 in grad school because of my thesis project. I wanted to come up with a way to give high quality university level education, online education that was educational, obviously, but also entertaining and empowering. And I knew that I could do this, and I was gung-ho about it, but all of my professors, not all of them, most of them, were giving me the same feedback of, who is you? You're just some kid, you're not any big designer, why would anyone listen to you? So I knew I was tight. I knew it would work out, but they just didn't believe me. So I figured I would test the product. I made a course on Skillshare about how to design display fonts and published it, and it was successful by my standards. They satisfied me. I published the class, and the first month it made $400. A couple months later, I published a second class, which also did well, and here we are almost 4 years later, and still every month I am making around $50 to $100 from those classes that I made way back in 2020. It's not a lot of money, but granted, it was something that I did 4 years ago that I know I'm still going to make around $1,000 a year for without lifting a finger. Number 3, this one's the most boring one, so you have something to look forward to in number 4. It's freelance work. So I do freelance graphic design and typeface design. I do not do a lot of it, admittedly. With my other streams of income, I really will only take on freelance projects that I find really interesting, something that resonates. I usually will only do about 4 a year. I'll charge anywhere from $500 to $5,000, around there. It really just depends on the project, what it is, and if it interests me. I don't take on a lot of freelance work for the same reason that I don't have a full-time job. It's because I'm too snobby. I don't like other people telling me what to do when it comes to graphic design. I'm not a good employee, and I'm a medium freelance guy. No, I mean, if we're like-minded, I don't mind it at all. But it is rare to find those people, and so rarely I do freelance work. Stream of income number 4 is teaching as an adjunct professor at a university. This one I absolutely love. You can do this either in person or online. I absolutely detest teaching at a university online, but love it in person. Different strokes for different folks. I'm not going to say that online education in universities is subpar. It's just not my vibe. So every so often over the past 4 years or so, I find myself in my hometown for a couple of months, and I'll reach out to the university. Hey, are there any classes that you need professors for? I'm here. I'm willing to teach. I absolutely love the social aspect of universities. I love being surrounded in an environment with the goal of education and people, striving for new knowledge, striving for something that they don't currently have. And despite what you might think about my snobbiness and my not being a good employee, I love the environment of critique and feedback. I really do believe that getting information from everywhere is always going to be a good thing, that good ideas can come from anyone, non-designers, good designers, bad designers. You should take it all in. Good ideas can come from absolutely everywhere. Critique and feedback can only improve your work. However, I don't like to be forced to implement the bad feedback. I consider it all, and I apply what, in my judgment, is valuable. And that is what I love about a university setting. It's what I encourage in my students as well. But I digress. That's a whole other tangent, a whole other video. There you have it. Those are my 4 streams of income as a graphic designer. Now we're going into part 2, where I talk about why you as a graphic designer might want to diversify your streams of income and how you might start doing so. So why might you start a side hustle as a graphic designer? Possibly it is for the same reasons that I had. I wasn't satisfied financially or creatively in a regular job. I wanted more creative freedom. I wanted more not more money, but I just wanted the possibility of being paid based on my merit, not a set, like, this is the cap. I didn't want to have a ceiling to my income. Now, when I fully realized how important these things were about myself and seriously started pursuing making money outside of a job as a graphic designer, I did have a full-time job and a part-time job teaching at a university, and I would have to spend an hour or so after my one job and my second job doing my third thing, and it was a lot for a bunch of months. But knowing myself, I knew that hey, if I just struggled here for the couple months, I'll be able to set myself up for future endeavors. And this is somewhat of a word of caution. I would say if you are trying to start a side hustle as a graphic designer or any designer, a person in a creative field, a good motivation is not quick money. Money is not a bad motivation, but getting that quick buck is not great. Passive income is really a get rich slow scheme. These side hustles, this passive income, because it does take time to build an audience. It takes time to generate income. So it's super important that you do something not only for financial motivation in a quick buck type of way, but in a more stable way. And you do something that you really love. So if it doesn't work out, if you spend an hour after work each day for a year, trying to get this passive income going, you could either spend that hour doing something you don't enjoy, trying to get that passive income going, and you could fail, or spend an hour doing something you really are passionate about, trying to get that passive income, and it could fail, but at least you spent an hour after work every day doing something that you love. So I, again, would caution you, and my first piece of advice would be make sure that your side hustle, at least your first one, is something that you really love. If it doesn't work out, it's a learning experience, and you spent a lot of time doing what you truly love. Another motivation for getting into a side hustle or making your side hustle your full-time gig is job security. And that may seem counterintuitive, but I remember when I was my first year of grad school, the pandemic hit, and my classmates, my upperclassmen, were having a really hard time finding jobs and didn't know what to do because they couldn't find jobs. Like, they felt they had no other options. Also, more recently, 2023 has been a tough year, and I've had a couple of my friends get laid off unexpectedly. And they go from the job, having the income, thinking everything is cool, I have a job, I'm secure, to flat, nothing, zero. And that's tough. I saw that situation and I said, I don't want to be there. I want to set myself up in a way that if the economy's going downhill, I can see the warning signs far in advance, and it's going to be a slow dip for me. It's not a cutoff, now you have zero. And a down economy for me doesn't mean getting laid off. It means, in 2022 I can make 60,000 in fonts. In 2023 I'm only going to do 40. But again, I have time to see the trend. Oh, things are starting to go downhill. I can prepare myself and either set up something else that might work or know like, hey, I should probably start looking for a job if things get really down. But I don't need to be in panic mode ever. Now, my final thoughts on the side hustle, on the different streams of income, on passive income as a graphic designer is this. Know yourself. Know the type of person you are. For me, I stress about money a lot, if I'm being honest. But I stress more about not being able to freely express myself in a creative way. So for me, I deal with the evil of the inconsistent income. I deal with the evil of, setting up a business and doing everything that goes along with that so that I can have and enjoy this creative freedom while I can. If you are a person who can stick with something you're passionate about, even when it's not making money, if you can put in the extra hours after your full time job to try and set something up for your future, then hey, side hustles, passive income is a great option for you. If you are just happy creating, if you love the collaboration of the client designer relationship, if you love the office environment, if all those things appeal to you, then hey, maybe this ain't for you. If you're honest with yourself, maybe you're not someone who's going to dive into the reasons of how and why, certain side hustles are or aren't working. Again, there's totally nothing wrong with that at all. But just saying, from my experience, the knowing myself and knowing what evils I can accept here or there, or it's just trade offs. Making the side hustle the full time thing is a dream for some people, a nightmare for others. I'm just trying to share my experience, what I've kind of gleaned along the way. Anyways, with that, I'm Harbor with Extra Credit Design Club, and we'll catch you in the next.